Usually what I like to do is look at what I've included and see if it fits nicely on the cardboard, and then I either rip around it, which I could do for this one, or I could keep it straight. I kind of like the look of, if I'm going to rip it, I think I'll round the corners of this. So I will do that and ink it up, and then I will come back to you. So I've completed the cover. I've put the card with the cardboard that's been ripped and inked all around, of the ribbon, the flowers, the leaves. So I think it's quite cute. So we'll move on to the inside page. And that's what it's like for all of the pages. I've used random papers. I didn't really go for a fall theme, so I decided that to kind of unify what I was doing, I would ink around the borders and try to come up with a color scheme that worked for the borders of all the pages. And I have pinks and greens and all types of different papers that I'm trying to use up. So to unify them and to come up with a more of a fall color scheme was a challenge for me. So I will show you that process in the next step. So for the color scheme, I've chosen 5 different colors. I'll try to blend them throughout the pages, and I'll give you a flip through once I'm done. I've just cut some baby wipes, and I'm going to use these around the edges with the baby wipes. For example, on this particular one with the red, I would put a little bit around the border, and then I would take a baby wipe and just smoosh it very carefully along the edge to kind of blend it. So I'll go through the pages and I will be back and I'll show you the results. So I'm back with the pages that have been inked, but they're not inked with ink, they're inked with these sketch gel markers and some baby wipes, which I find quite economical to use when I'm doing quick projects. So I'll just flip through the pages to show you the type of colors that came out with these. Some vibrant ones with oranges and pinks, a little bit of purple, some sooty black added to that one, orange, black and orange, orange and red, some black and purple, a little bit of pink, orange and purple, or is it red? No, it's a pink. Orange and pink, purple and black, orange and purple, orange and red, purple and black. So back to the first page spread, and I'm going to make this with this kit that I've assembled. And it's going to have, from my original, it's going to have a pocket with some cluster, an acetate window on a recycled envelope, and a couple of folded papers to put in the pocket. So we will make this one with our other example. So I've inked around this, and I've put a little finger tab hole there, and I'm going to glue this down as a pocket. I'm just using tacky glue. You don't really need a whole lot of it, but And for the embellishments, I'm going to use, like the other one, a leaf. I picked this pretty red maple leaf here. Some hot glue. And then some feathers. I think I'll put this big pink one here first. Hot glue gets stuck to the feathers, of course. And a red one. And just a hint of orange. And for the centerpiece there, I'm going to put this little angel, just with some more hot glue. And also a sentiment. The essence of love is kindness. I think this one feather needs a little extra underneath to hold it down gently so I don't burn my fingers. And then because it's fall, I'll just put this little acorn. And should I put it there? Maybe over here. There we go. Take off the hot glue. Then I've put some burlap ribbon on this and a stamp that will go in the pocket. And I will also put another one together and be right back. So I've decorated this one. I chose washi tape instead of burlap, and I just put a leaf on a stamped leaf. And I've also inked around the edges and the inside. More writing space. It's always great to have writing space in your pockets. So for this side, I'm going to take a recycled envelope. I've traced around where the window is here so that I can add a piece of corresponding paper. All the papers are papers that have been cut from cutting these and gluing them in. All the leftovers are pieces that I'm going to work with to decorate with. So, except for book pages, which I will use in addition to the leftovers. So for this one, I'm going to cover this envelope with a book page, put in a decorative background for the window, insert a little angel, and I'm also going to decorate it with a leaf, and probably use the burlap piece that I wanted to use before, but on this envelope. And I will also have a little piece of paper that I will insert with a tab on it and a little decorative leaf. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue this down in the inside where it should go, and I'm going to cover this envelope with a book page, and I will be right back. So some have asked about how I get the paper in the right spot with the window in the right spot. Usually I can hold it up to a window, or I can trace around it. And either way, I'll usually just cut a little seam here that I will glue back down after when I place it on. So I'm going to use a little piece of washi tape underneath her feet there to give her something that seems like she's standing on. So I'll put that on. Just have to peel the back off. Move her up a little bit there. Okay, and I will glue her down. I can't tell you where I've gotten all of these images from. They're in my stash, so I apologize for that. Okay, so she should be in the window. So now I'll just glue the edges. Okay. So now we have our decorated envelope. And to further decorate, I will place this leaf here. That goes with the leaf on the other side. And I will put some raffia, some burlap ribbon on the bottom, and I will assemble this little tab onto this and be right back. So now we have spread one decorated. We have the pocket on this side, similarly a pocket on this side made with a recycled envelope and a book page, decorated, with some writing space tucked in to use. And that was just a folded piece of paper that has a tab on it. And again, the folded paper with the decorative thing, some more paper in the background. On to spread number 2. So for spread number 2, I'm going to try to recreate belly bands, a horizontal and a vertical, on this other book. So for the horizontal belly band, I've just cut a piece of paper with a decorative pair of scissors, and I'm going to use a little bit of lace trim to decorate it with. And then I will have a tag that has these components of a book page torn, a sentiment, some cheesecloth, a leaf, a little fussy cut berry, some string that I will put in behind as an accent, and then this tag will end up being underneath the belly band. So I will do this, ink up all the paper, assemble it with a glue gun, and I will be right back. So I have the tag prepared, and I'm just going to slide it into the horizontal belly band, like so. You could tuck it under a little bit of this if you didn't want it to move. It's up to you. And the string will hang out over the top. So on to the next side. Very similarly, same type of thing. We're going to just tear a piece of paper, put a little bit of a cluster in the middle, put some ribbon down horizontally, and then slide paper underneath. So I will be right back once I've inked and glued those together. So I've created this cluster very similar to this cluster, but it's on a horizontal belly band. And I'm just going to put some glue across the top and bottom. And position it in the center. Wipe away the excess glue there. And we will be able to put in, once it's dry, a piece of paper, and a lovely fall type of paper, to have a writing space. On to the next spread. So the next spread is going to be 2 corner tucks. I'll give you an example. We're going to put some cluster type ephemera on them with some lace And then we'll be tucking in some paper to write on as well. You can also write on the background, but I thought just having that extra tucked into the two corners will be nice. And these corners are made from a paper that's the length of these folded in half and then cut from a rectangle. So we will do this, and I'm going to take this one away as this is my template, and I'm going to create these on this spread with the package that I have cut up and prepared for this particular one. So we'll be right back. I will ink up the pieces, lay them out, and we will get them started. And just for information, when I've pre-cut these, I've used the leftover papers from the books, and I've just cut ribbon to length. There's a piece of cheesecloth, cute little mushroom image, some burlap, a little leaf, and there's also some pretty cord that I'm going to cluster underneath all of this and assemble it and ink the edges, and the same on this side as well, very similarly, and then I'll have some papers to put inside. So I will be right back. What I failed to mention was I'm still tearing out pieces of book page to put underneath all of these layers. That's my beginning layer, and then I layer all of this on top. So I have the two clusters now that have been hot glued and inked and assembled, and now I'm just going to glue them down just by going along the outside edge, outside of the, not too far in, just along that side and the bottom. Place it down. Press it a little just to get the glue on there. And do the same with this one. It's been a very windy day, so I actually had to have my husband take down the bamboo chime that was outside the window. It was making so much extra noise, so I apologize for that in the video if you've heard it. Of course, we have these hot glue strings that come from gluing with hot glue. So there is the two corner tucks made with folded paper cut in half. I've rounded the corner on this one just to match the rounded corner of the page. I've also added some washi tape and a stamped leaf on these two pieces and inked all around them. I like to ink also on the inside just to give it that little bit of beige look. And then just added a bit of washi tape on this piece of paper to match. So that's this spread, and on to the next one. So for the next one, as per my template, we're going to have a side tuck with some decoration on it for a piece of paper. And we're also going to have a little flip with a decorated paper clip with some ribbon, actually some cloth that's been pulled apart, and a snippet roll that's assembled on this side. But in order to do that, we will also have to be careful because we are going to have a tuck on this side. So we'll have to create a hinge for that one on the other side. So we will start this assembly, and I will turn this off just one moment while I get everything taken out of the plastic sleeve, which I have assembled here. And I will take it out, and we will begin with our book. So as I mentioned, in the kit that I've assembled, there is a tuck that's going to be on this side and a tuck that's going to be completely on the other side. So I have two of those, which you'll find, and one of them has a doily with some pumpkins as a centerpiece, or just a pumpkin image as a centerpiece. You can use the burlap either on the side that's on the other page, or you can use the burlap on your strip here. You have a strip, you have pieces of paper that have been torn. You can tear them up to fit along your strip. You can include some book page as well to tear up in between, just to create something that is pleasing. And decorate with a flower and a button and a little string to tie a knot in the button. And then your paper clip with your torn fabric will go above this folded piece, which has a little doll. And that can be glued onto there. And then this paper will tuck in there. So we will ink up everything, or I should say, and then I will come back with it ready to assemble. Just a note of caution, do not assemble anything or glue it down until you have first put the hinge on for the page that's in behind. So we will do that when I come back with everything inked and assembled. We will assemble it together just to show you what I mean by that. So on the other side, once you've taken everything off of here, on the other side, if I can get it there, we are going to be attaching this piece. So this hinge, I've inked the one side that will be visible, and I could have attached it underneath so that it wouldn't be visible, but I don't mind that it's on the outside. So I'm going to put it right in the crease. I have my glue on there, but just on half, the first half. Make sure that it's right in the center. So now, when we open this, this will go on, sorry for that, this will go on this side, creating that flap, that hinge. I'll glue this down and come back. Now I'm preparing the snippet strip. I've inked the edges of that because it's going to cover that hinge. And I'm just tearing pieces of paper, and if you tear your pieces of paper toward you, you will get a nice white edge, and you can ink it or you can leave it as is. So I have my little strips glued down onto that cardstock that I've prepared. And now, just to have the stitching, I could either use a sewing machine and go through it with a sewing machine, but there is that issue of thickness with the hinge and the other cardstock on the other side. So alternatively, I'm going to use a ruler and a fine point Sharpie marker and just go along the middle as if I've stitched it. I'll be right back. So now I will glue it to the hinge. Just double checking on the other side to make sure it matches up as best as possible. There we go. It's okay if it overlaps the edge a bit. It looks like a nice little bit of a ruffled area. Okay, so on to decorating and getting things assembled here. I will put some, I may skip this ribbon on this one. I had it in my template along this side. I'll put everything there and decide if I'm using it or not. I may use it. And then I will be also assembling the flower with the button center and tying this little piece of string through the buttonholes, and then putting that hot glued into the center once I have a little ribbon tied there. And then we will also prepare the other side. So I will ink this side up, assemble it, assemble this little area. I believe there's a leaf that I'm missing here, which I will try and find, that I would like to put down in here as well, if I can use it with the flower. And I'll hot glue this and I'll be right back. So this is done on this side. I used a stiffer ribbon just to be sure that it could stay in place, but it's hot glued on the back of the button. And the leaf is there. And now for this side, I haven't glued it down yet. I've just put on the burlap. I've inked around the edges. And this little tag, I had a package of these from the dollar store. And they have a pre-cut punched hole, but I'm just going to cover that with an image. I have it glued on the back. It's just a little fox. I've left a little bit of an edge around it to give it a border. And now I'm going to put, this is also from the dollar store. It's a cupcake holder, paper cupcake holder, that I've pressed down to kind of keep that center flat, with just putting it under some books. And then I'll use that as a nice rosette type decoration. I'll put another faux leaf from the dollar store that I've picked apart. I've taken the backs off of these leaves, and I will hot glue it down with the fox and attach this to the edge with glue on the other side, just around the border, so that we keep this tuck area open. I will be right back. So I've put some glue on this once it's been assembled, and I'm going to just position it on the edge. There's no glue on this side, of course. So that we have a nice tuck spot here. Sorry for the jiggling table. Hence why I'm cutting in and out with my camera, because I don't have a proper setup for a camera right now. So there it is, glued around the edge, and we will be tucking in. I just have a piece of paper here I can show you. Tucking in the paper for writing on that side. So now, I did opt to not use the burlap here. I think alternatively I will use it on this side. So the only other thing to assemble on this side is this little writing spot that we have a little doll image. She's got her fall outfit on, very cute. I've bordered it with some cardstock, matching cardstock. I will glue this on, maybe put some washi down here for decoration. I'll ink the edges, and then we will paper clip that up to this spot here. I'll be back. Okay, so I've inked up this little paper. Again, it's just the leftover paper that I've folded and decorated. I'm going to take the paper clip and just put the strip of fabric through it, even it up on the tails, and then just tie a knot. Very simply tie a knot. There we go. Now, if you don't like the tails to be that long, you can trim them. So I'll just take scissors and trim. And then I will attach. And this will hold the other side as well, that hinge flap on the other side. Okay, on to the other side. So for this side, we have our flap, just paper clipped at the top here. And this is where that extra piece of burlap from the other side is going to come in handy to kind of cover that seam right there. And I'm hoping that it will look similar to this page in my template book, where we have a doily and a pumpkin image, a couple recipe cards, index cards, and in a pocket decorated with a stamp of a pumpkin pie recipe with a pumpkin, some fancy cutting on the paper itself with scissors that are fancy cut scissors, a covered paper clip up here that's also holding another folded piece of writing paper. So we will be right back. As I'm taking this particular one apart, I will lay out what's inside the package in the sleeve protector. So we have a cut piece of cardstock, which will be the pocket. We have the pumpkin pie recipe. We have a pumpkin or a gourd. We have the 2 index cards that will fit inside. We have a folded piece of paper, which is this folded piece of paper, with a little image of an owl instead of a doll or anything like that, or a cardboard that was in the previous template where it was covering the paperclip. This will be covering the paperclip, and we will use some book page to help create the background for that to cover the paperclip. And then on this side, of course, we have the doily and the assorted pumpkins, which I will decorate that circle with and attach to here. So I will ink up all of this and get it ready, and we will come back to assemble. So I had the burlap hot glued on, and then I used a little bit of glue stick, and of course you can see how the glue stick makes wrinkles because glue stick is a little bit wet. I mean, it's the best to use for a doily because a doily's very thin. I just put a tiny bead of Tombow glue around the edge of the doily and then put the glue stick in the center. And just to cover that kind of a wrinkled thing, I'm going to put this little bit of book page. Now I could have torn this piece of book page, but I just thought I'll just make a circle instead. So you can use anything to trace around for a circle. You could use the bottom of your glue. You could use a cup. Endless variety of ways to get a circle and cut it out and then use that as your center. And then I'm going to place some of these cute little fussy cut gourds and pumpkins that I have on that. And I will be right back. So for the paper clip, I'm going to, I took this book page and I just trimmed off all the white area around the words, and I folded it in half and then folded it in half again. And what I'd like to do is strengthen up this paper. It's very brittle and thin. So I'm going to glue the first half together with some glue stick. So I will just put glue stick basically around this edge. I'll have to set it on my table for a moment. Sorry for that. Okay, so it's glued together, and I'll take my scissors, and where I've bent it in half again, I will just follow that line down so that I get 2 halves that are very strong. And now what I'm going to do is take my paper clip, and I'm going to put the longer side on the outside. So I'm just going to put the short side on the inside. And then I'm going to glue this together. So you have one side that has the paper clip with the long side on the outside. Then I'm going to glue this entire thing together, covering the paper clip so that only this little part at the top, this little metal part shows. And then I'm going to put my image on top. And that way when it slides on, you'll see the image, and on the back you will see the back of the paper clip. This is not a fully covered paper clip. This is just using book page to create a nice clip for this card here. I'll be right back. So I've used lots of glue, especially around the paper clip. And alternatively, you could use hot glue. I don't know that it would dry before you could get it set together. So I'm using the wet glue, and that way I have time to work with it, to press it, to get it to hold. It may come out on the sides a bit, but you can wipe that away. And I'm just making sure that that is tightly in there before I glue my image on top. I'll let that dry and even up the sides so that it is straight. And then we will have a clip that goes, make sure these are tied together. And we will have a clip that goes over top of this with an image on top. So I will be right back. Okay, so I've inked the edge of the pocket here. I'm going to put that down. I've added some glue around the 3 sides. And I'll just place it down here. Make sure it's pressed down. Take the glue off here. That's peeking on the edge there. I'll put in these 2 index cards because they belong in there. The owl, I fussy cut around him just to make him fit onto the book page paper clip. And I will tuck that in behind these. And I will clip him on. It's very cute. Okay, and then I just have to add the recipe, which is the pumpkin pie recipe. I will glue that quickly. I try not to take the time up with gluing and inking so that you have more of just the construction. And I will put this little, this looks like a gourd to me, so I'm putting that one there. And then I had this one on this side, but I switched it out for a leaf, and I will put this one here because it looks more like a pumpkin to me. Just place it there. Okay, so this side is done. On to the next spread. Okay, for this next spread, I am using a similar technique again. It is going to be corners that I've just embellished with leaves. A tag. We'll use a tea bag, a tea-dyed tea bag for the background of that with a leaf. This is from a card that I received last year, and I took that from the card, but we'll have some alternative things in the kit that I have here. And of course, some paper to write on. So let's get started with this one. So I have the sleeve with all of the things in it that I've collected for this particular book. The paper, of course, the tag. This one is just a plain background tag. And there's some ribbon and tea bag. These are used tea bags that I've dried, emptied the contents and dried. So they're nice to use as backgrounds because of the coloring of the tea on the It's not really, it's more like a plastic type of fabric, which is why it's good to recycle them. And then we have corners, of course, one for each side. I just took a square and folded that in half to create a corner. So I have a corner for this side and a corner for that side. Very basic corners and leaves from the dollar store. And then more decorative sentiment, a string for the tag, and some more decorative burlap. So let's get started. I'm going to come back once I've inked around the tag and assembled it, and then we will also glue these corners flat. I'll ink around them, and then I will only put glue on the back for 2 sides and leave the long side open so that you can tuck something in. And then I will decorate it with a leaf. So we will do that and come right back. So for the tag, I like to ink around the edges, and then I put the tea bag on with just glue stick. It goes down like tissue paper would. And I'm also going to put a little bit of reinforcement up here at the top for my hole to be punched through for my string that will be on the tag. Okay, so I'm ready to glue down the corners. I put this one down with some glue, and I'll do this one. I'm holding the side that I don't want to glue, so I'm just going to put the glue on the inside here on 2 sides, and place it down in the corner. Try to match so that we sort of have bookend type corners that look like they're placed equally apart. Just trying to get the excess glue off of that. Pressing it. Okay, and we have our tag assembled, so that tag will slip into this pocket. And I've also decorated this page with some burlap and an image and inked around it so that it too can slip into the corner. Once it's dry, of course, I don't want to fuss with this when it's not quite dry yet, but it will slip into this corner. And we will be moving on to the next spread. Just as an added note, I didn't do anything with the back of this tag except ink it, but oftentimes what I'll do is put lined paper on the back so I can write on the tag with the lined paper on the back, and it reinforces the tag a little bit more. If you see the difference between this one, which is a little bit more floppier, than this one, which is quite strong comparatively. So it just adds to that little bit of extra layer. And this paper also too, the line paper, can be tea dyed or colored to match. So that's just something added that you could do if you wanted to add line paper to the back of your tags. For this last spread, we are going to use 2 different types of bags. Paper bag, small paper bag that's decorated, and a glassine bag. You can see it there with a tag inside, and it's decorated. So I will take the sleeve that I prepared for this particular one and take out the items in it. And we have this bag, of course. Sorry. We have this bag and some decorative paper that goes with it. Here's another small piece of paper that goes on the bottom. There is a decorative pumpkin and a leaf. And a tag that will go inside. There is a glassine bag here wrapped with a piece of paper with a tag inside with a string and a reinforced hole. And for color, oftentimes I will collect paint chips and use them as backgrounds. So I've picked up a couple paint chips that will correspond. And then another decorative doll in her fall outfit with her little pumpkin. So we will get started with this. What I will do is I will ink all around the tag and the reinforced hole and even the paint chips, and I will also ink around the bag, the papers that cover it, maybe even the tag, and assemble those as shown with just gluing it on with normal glue that I've been using all the way along, the tacky glue, paper onto here, the two pieces. Then I will use hot glue for the leaf and more or less probably hot glue for the pumpkin also. Over here, I will prepare the tag as per what we've done before. I will glue the back of this piece of paper that's wrapped around the bag so that when I attach it, I won't have to have wet glue on this very thin, transparent bag. It's almost like wax paper. So this portion, the paper portion, will be glued down, and I'll lightly tack that bag inside before I glue it down with just some regular glue stick. That way it's secure, the tag can't push it up or down, and it's also secure onto the cardstock of the book, and it's not going to buckle this very thin type of glassine bag. And then I will decorate. So I will ink these up and I will come right back. Okay, so one last thing is for the bag, I always like to seal this gusset. That's why there's two sides to the bag. There's the flat side, and then there's the side with the gusset. And I usually take that side, glue it down under here, and then decorate, just as a note to self for doing this. And that way, when it opens, it pulls the entire thing open. And there's quite a lot of room inside. So let's put this on here and we will glue it down. And then for this bag, as you can see, it's all assembled. And there is room here to glue it on this cardstock area. And then the tag has been assembled, and it can just slide right into the bag. So I will put them together and come right back. So one last flip through. We did spread number 1 with pocket and recycled envelope. I'll try not to jiggle the camera too much. It's very tight quarters here. We did a belly band horizontally and a belly band vertically with a tag and writing paper. We did 2 corner tucks from rectangles with clusters and a writing page and 2 smaller writing pages. We did a cluster using a cupcake holder with decoration. Sorry for that, my battery is cutting out, so I'm going to go quickly through that. Another flip, snippet, decoration, and a clip, paper clip decorated, another flip with a doily, decorated paper clip again, a pocket, 2 corner tucks. We had a tag that went in this side, pop it in there, and a decorative page on this side. And of course we have our 2 bags, which you can fill with as much or as little as you like. I hope you've enjoyed this and continue on with your journaling, and you have the rest of the book to do with what you would like to do with. I've already started to put some things in mine, so I'll just show you quickly here if I can. I took some old drawings. I made a pocket with a little envelope. Took some old drawings and fussy cut them. Made a corner tuck again. Another little tag here with a door on it. And again with some of my own drawing that I fussy cut and added to the page. So the sky is the limit. I hope you've enjoyed this. Continue on, and we will see you possibly in another class. If you would like one, please contact the library. Thanks so much for watching, and hope you got what you needed to finish the class. And I apologize, I can't re-up doing the class at this moment. I'm overwhelmed with a lot of things at home, but I would love to do another class in the future. Just let them know if that's something you would like to see. Take care. Bye-bye.